Could AI be the next Good Samaritan?
Being a good Samaritan is why intent is greater than impact.
When you're in need, would you want someone to help or to catapult you to TikTok fame? All right. I am like a coiled spring, ready to go boing, because it's time for kitchen sink microscopy. And I'm Casey Rochefruit, not with a Cockney accent. That was just an inside joke with a British comedy called Thin Blue Line. You should check it out. But first, watch the episode.
Yeah, and I'm Eric Rosenblatt, and Casey and I, we both write music, sometimes together, sometimes not. So there will probably be a song you may or may not have heard before at the end of this episode. Stick around to check it out. Watch the whole episode first, and then check the song out at the end on the way out. It'll be a part of it. Yeah, and you can get that music out there on the interwebs. There's probably links down below where you could find that stuff. I won't waste your time telling you all the places. So, Casey, what do you want to talk about today?
Well, I just had to take a first aid class, Erste Hilfe, to get my German driver's license. And, I learned a couple of things that I haven't learned in previous first aid courses because it's slightly different here. And one of those things is that it's a requirement by law to help somebody in need, basically a Good Samaritan law, which, if I'm not mistaken, slightly differs from the way America, or let's say most states in America, because it's probably a state thing,
Probably
the way most states handle it. And I think in Washington, you can get sued for helping somebody if you don't do it correctly, or
yeah. And when you said that, because I know it has happened, people have been sued, which is kind of stupid because it's like, I mean, hey, you're making an effort,
right?
I mean, otherwise you'd be completely helpless. So it was trying to do something. I mean, really, honestly, everybody should have some training in the event that you need to help somebody. That's pretty helpful. But like, it is weird because I wonder in Germany if it's required. Like, is the requirement that you have to have, like, you have to help people if you have the training, because otherwise it would be like, well, if you're required to help and you know dick all, well, if I were somebody, I'd be like, whoa, get away from me, because you're gonna make it worse.
I think that's basically the case because it is required to take this course in order to get a driver's license. You don't have to keep up with it every 2 years like you would with a job that requires it, for instance. But I mean, if you take it once, you've at least got the core knowledge always sitting back there. Of course, you might not remember how many times to pump the heart, which they change over the years anyway.
Well,
like,
yeah, because
that stuff has changed like several times in my lifetime.
I think they've, like, in the States, they've kind of removed the concept of like breathing, that kind of thing. It's more just chest compressions. If there's an obstruction, then of course, then you do things differently.
Yeah, like I think the last course I took in America was pre-COVID. There was, they were starting to use like some apparatus, but like, who's going to have that plan?
Exactly.
But yeah, like now it's 30 compressions, 2 breaths here in Germany. And I remember completely different things,
Yeah.
Like to me doesn't feel like enough air.
Well, yeah,
30
because
compressions at 120 beats per minute is like that's kind of a long time without. Yeah,
it
whatever.
does seem,
Uh,
yeah, but well, I don't know. People that came up with that are probably more knowledgeable than we are
yeah,
with not, like experience in that.
and of course, this action is kind of like creating positive and negative pressure changes and
Yeah.
stuff. So like air is coming in, but whatever.
Yeah.
The point is like, which way is better? Do you think? You
Ooh.
know?
I mean, I don't like the idea of mandating that, like, because then it's like almost like if you were a bystander and you didn't go to somebody's aid for whatever reason, then now, or what if there's like 10 bystanders that what they all get fined or something because nobody walked over there and helped somebody?
I mean, I don't think it's. I mean, it's like it's illegal to spit on the sidewalk, but
Hmm.
I mean, we know somebody that's gotten in trouble for that. But how many people really ever get in trouble for that?
Or
Uh,
jaywalking or something.
yeah, like it's one of those things that is technically like I think if somebody wanted to make an issue of it, like you're just standing there filming it with your cell phone, you asshole, like then it could be an issue, right? But
Yeah.
like in that sense, I think it's a good idea personally because even if you do it wrong, um, who's to say that like breaking their ribs in the wrong way uh, really contributed to them dying when they probably would have died without immediate attention anyway, right?
Yeah.
So, uh, and you can nobody can say, right? You can never say, oh, if this had been different, it would have completely, totally, 100% gone this other way. No,
Well, there's too many variables to take into consideration that are absolute
yeah,
unknowns.
always err on the side of caution, and
Mm-hmm.
caution would be if you need if someone needs help, you should help them.
I agree. I mean, it's really kind of annoying. Like, I watch lots of videos online and stuff, and I see a lot of these videos where something bad is happening, and people are just standing around, like holding up their phone, filming it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
why aren't you helping? Somebody should help. It's a really weird thing. Like,
This weird mentality where humans just freeze in those moments and think somebody else is probably going to take charge here, right? So I'm just going to wait for that to happen. And then it never does because everybody's waiting for the next guy to step up and do something.
yeah. Well, it's kind of that happens a lot in like, you know,
Group
situations
work,
where, huh?
group work in school.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, or if I could, well, like I remember there was going to be a walkout, right? For some, it was something having to do with like where the students were placed in the school, and um, so basically the whole school walked out. But I remember the time came, and everybody was kind of looking around, and and I was kind of wondering, like, is anybody going to be like getting up and walking out? Because is this some kind of joke, maybe, or a trick? But then
Mm.
one kid stood up, and then everybody stood up, and it
Uh-huh.
was it was like it just took that one person to start to
I am
initiate it.
Spartacus.
Yeah, but then you see the opposite sometimes. A lot of times it's like you see uh, not just one person. Everybody comes to the aid of somebody. You know,
Yep.
like everybody coming from all over and rushing to help somebody who needs help. And so it's
Yeah.
kind of like it really just depends. I don't know. It's really
Yeah.
weird.
I mean, yeah, I saw a car flip over
Mm-hmm.
on Meridian Avenue uh, between Puyallup and Tacoma back when I lived out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I pulled over immediately and ran across the highway to help. And there was already like 15 people there. And this isn't exactly like a highly trafficked, like foot traffic kind of
Yeah.
area. There's a lot of cars and stuff, but all these cars basically just dropped what they were doing and they all went and like everyone was like pulling people out. Like there were no paramedics
Mm-hmm.
at all on the scene yet, of course, and everyone just kind of worked together like a hive mind and knew what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like there wasn't much I could do. I like, because I had to cross the street safely. And by the time I got there, there was already like more than enough help. So I was just on the phone, like making sure that the police were aware of it, and they
That's
were.
good. I mean,
Like,
even that is something.
yeah, I mean, you can't assume that nobody's already called. So
Mm-hmm.
all of that stuff. Like, I always wondered what it would be like to be a 911 dispatcher. Like,
Oh
how many
God.
times do you get the same call?
Oh, probably a lot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and it would probably flood because I mean, if a dispatcher is already on the phone, it's going to go roll over to somebody else. So you can imagine like all the phones lighting up at once and
Yeah.
everybody being occupied. And that's kind of a bad thing too. Like if you, kind of take into consideration, hey, has anybody called? Because you don't want to swamp that system because what if there's another emergency and now everybody's occupied with,
Right.
with this one event when they already know about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
Huh.
and that's a beautiful thing to see when you see everybody kind of rallying to solve a problem or help somebody.
Yeah.
It's just like one of the most amazing things.
Yeah.
Like what was it? I remember that there was an earthquake somewhere. What was it? Turkey? Like fairly recently, like a really
Turkey
awful.
has a lot of big
I
earthquakes, and
think
they
it was Turkey. There was
pretty
a
recently.
really terrible earthquake where like
Yep.
all these people were trapped, and it was crazy because like there were a lot of responders that came from other countries, including Ukraine and Russia. During this conflict,
Yeah.
both Ukrainian and Russian paramedics and various first responder type people were working together to pull people out of the rubble. And I was like, man,
Yeah.
that's weird. That would be like, during the Pacific side of World War II, something happened somewhere, like South America, there's this awful event, and people from the US and Japan both come and like work together to like help people.
Yeah.
But I
That's
mean,
a
that's
that's the
that's
kind of
that's
stuff that makes me tear up.
I same here. Yeah. Well, because it's like, man, that's the beautiful side of humanity.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is the hope. This is what I hope for. What I hope people could be all the time, not just when
Yeah.
there's an emergency.
Yeah. And that, I don't know if it's sad or that it's like not such a big deal to have to mandate that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, like, but like I said, I feel like it's a soft mandate, and
Yeah.
just making it a law, I think, is enough to. I think is reinforcing
To
the
nudge
confidence in
people,
people.
you just
Yeah,
nudge them in that direction.
yeah. It's like, don't worry, you're going to be okay. You're like, you have protections.
Mm-hmm.
If you screw up, people aren't going to sue you. They're going to say, well, I wish it would have gone different, but thank you for trying, like,
Yeah.
and that's how it should be, because intent is everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, like the impact is, like, the impact versus intent argument. This is the type of example that really drives home the point
Yep.
that the intent is good, but you might not save the life.
Exactly.
But would you have rather they just stood there and watched your loved one die, and
Exactly.
filmed it and put it on TikTok, because, like, let's go with the good intent, whatever the
Yeah.
impact might be.
Well, and just like the school walkout thing, it's like, you know, maybe if maybe you may be the only one visible around there, but like if you're just idly standing by watching this happen, um, you could potentially be the seed that brings those other people in. So if there's people in storefronts or something like watching and you're just standing there, maybe they're not encouraged to go out, but then if they see you rushing to help somebody, they might come out, because
Yeah.
now it's like, oh, it triggers something in people's minds, like this communal support thing, I guess, where it's like, you see people trying to help people and you realize they might need help as well.
Right. And like, just because there's already a bunch of people helping doesn't mean you shouldn't at least like check in, because
Mm-hmm.
not everybody has the same knowledge base. Like, you
No.
might actually have something to contribute that 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 group of people is kind of befuddled by, like, oh, what do we do in this situation? You might be like, well, I just happen to be an expert on concussions.
Yeah.
Like,
Or somebody's trapped in their car, right? Maybe they're like their seatbelt or something, and nobody has a knife, and you
right.
do, or
Mhm.
a particular set of tools.
Always
Maybe,
have a knife.
yeah, exactly.
Always have a knife.
Always.
Like I'm not a big prepper like you, but like I always have a knife.
Yes, a knife and a flashlight. Those are two things you should always have,
Hmm.
and a P51 can opener, because that is one of the greatest. It has such versatility.
Hmm.
And it's tiny. You can put it on a keychain.
I
Uh,
mean, my everyday carry, I guess, is a knife and a leather, which
yeah, Leatherman
has a
works.
knife, but it's a crappy, like, I mean, it's still perfectly sharp because I never use it because it folds in on itself every time.
Yeah,
I'm
but
not going to use that.
you should always carry a flashlight too. And a lot of people will say,
I
"Oh,
should.
but I got a flashlight on my phone." Well, yeah, but what if you're the person there helping someone? You're on the phone with like the dispatchers, and you need a flashlight to like see things or whatever, help other people, right? Because
Yeah.
maybe no one else has a flashlight, so you need to have the ability to have a flashlight somewhere else than your phone.
Yeah. You know, I think a really good invention, maybe we should get on this.
Hmm.
Nobody take our idea. Would be like an AI Good Samaritan kit.
Oh.
Like something that basically says, please state the nature of the medical emergency. And,
Mhm.
and it kind of walks you through what needs to be done
Oh yeah.
with some voice prompts. So you don't even have to sit there typing stuff or like talking on the phone. You just like set this thing out and say, I came across this person, they're not breathing,
Mhm.
whatever.
Oh,
What do I
dude,
do?
that's well, yeah, because there's a defibrillator. Like a lot of the new ones actually have voice prompts.
They talk you through it. Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So what if it could be something on your phone? You start it up and like, yeah, state the nature of the emergency, right, and whatever
Yeah.
it is, and you give brief information, and maybe it might prompt you like, well, location if you don't provide that kind of thing, and then it will automatically call 911 or whatever for you and tell the dispatcher, interact with the dispatcher, and maybe even relay what the dispatcher is saying or asking. So if you need other things, but at the same time, it will start prompting you what to do, like
Right.
giving you step by step. Like, because there may be certain things where it's like, maybe you shouldn't do something. Like
Yeah.
someone's crushed under a car. Well, okay, you probably don't want to move things because you make it worse. Um,
Yeah. And
there
it
are a
could
lot of
also
things.
be like, is there anyone else here that could help? And
Mm,
then people could be like, yeah, I could do something. And then the AI could be like, oh, great. While they're doing that, you could be getting blankets,
yeah.
like, and
Oh,
basically just like go through everybody that's standing around and
it,
give them a task,
this is one situation where I think a piece of software knowing about you and your location is good, like
Yeah.
a proximity based thing. So if there's anybody in the area, if they're like in a store or in their car at a stoplight or something that could potentially help, it'll
Yeah.
alert them like, hey,
Oh,
wait a
yeah.
second, turn around or go outside or whatever, because
We
they
need
need some.
gauze. We need blankets. We
Yeah.
need, like whatever it might be.
Yeah. Well, because
A can of gas, like what?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Or a part like a tool for
Yeah.
a broken down car. Maybe that person has a spare tire but no jack. You
Good
know.
Samaritan beacon sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah.
That's a good idea,
Yeah. There's a
man.
lot of good ideas on this show.
I
Why aren't we
know.
rich?
Because we're too nice.
Yeah.
That's basically it.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think even if it's not legally mandated, I think it's really important that everybody should. When you see someone that needs help, you should always help.
Yeah.
Um, all the time. Obviously, I think we've talked about that too. Like if there are murky situations where, say, there's a fight going on, and maybe you don't want to get involved in it. Um, but
Yeah. I mean,
even
if
in,
like the first rule of first aid is always like make sure there's no danger, right?
Mhm.
Like it doesn't do any good if you get hurt also.
Yeah,
Uh,
like if a car's
so
on fire, don't rush into the car and try
yeah,
to drag
so if
people
there's
out.
like an active fight
Mhm.
or like a burning building or something, like don't be a superhero.
Yeah.
Like don't try to like stop something from happening in the moment. You're just there to like clean up the mess.
Yeah, I'd say there's a threshold though. Like let's say it's two people fighting, like
Yeah.
physically fighting. If
I
if
mean,
it's
know your limits, let's say.
well, yeah, but if it gets to the point where it looks like someone's life is truly in danger, that's the point where you got to intervene.
Yeah.
Like
Um,
somehow,
yeah.
well,
I
and this is
mean,
where the Good Samaritan thing that this app or whatever would come in, like because it's like maybe you don't think you're capable, but there might be some kind of black belt right across the street,
right. Yeah.
and you could
Yeah.
be like, hey, this is what's going on, and it alerts that person. They come out and they you know handle
It
the
throws up the
situation.
bat symbol. Like,
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
basically, I mean, it's
Well,
kind of what
because
we're talking
the
about.
thing is, a lot of these responders, like the police, and the police aren't there to prevent anything from happening. They're basically there to respond when something has happened,
Yeah.
or is happening. And like sometimes you're in places where help is quite a long ways away. Even like 10 minutes is probably too long, like in the situation of that car flipping, right? That kind
Yeah.
of thing. Like if it takes them 10 minutes to get there, people might already be dead.
Yeah.
And that
Luckily, this was 1 block away from the fire station.
oh well, that was convenient.
Yeah. But even then, like, wasn't that quick that they showed up.
Yeah. Well, they got to gear up and stuff and then get
Yeah.
like Ghostbusters, come down the pole and
Mhm.
put their proton packs on and stuff.
No,
Yeah.
that's a great idea. Like I would actually be like if I had any kind of AI knowledge, I would get right on that. Um, but
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is you can use AI to craft that system for you,
right. Yeah.
which is cool.
Yeah. Huh.
Like if you don't know how to do it, it can do it for you based on your inputs, and then you can tweak it and modify it and stuff.
But then would the AI get the patent? Hmm.
That's a good question because the concept is part of that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
because like patent drawings, right? That kind of thing for products. Most of the time, it's not the designer who drew the drawing, but that's the thing that goes and gets filed. So
Yeah.
is the artist that drew up all that stuff and that typed all the things like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
I think it should be open source myself, something like that,
Well, yeah.
like an
Yeah.
open source system that is free for everybody. Um, yeah, that would be really cool.
Yeah.
Well, because like I don't. It's been a while since I've taken like a CPR first aid course, but like I have a lot of experience with tools and fixing stuff and that kind of thing, mechanical, electronic things, that kind of things, and I have a
Yeah.
lot of stuff too. Like if somebody needed help, I probably have a tool that could help them.
Yeah. Not all emergencies are life and death. It could be like,
No,
I
it could
got a
just
really
be
important meeting to get to. My tire's flat. Blah blah
yeah.
blah.
And some people
Yeah.
don't even know how to do that, right? Or they don't
Mhm.
have a gas can. And it's like, well, I got gas cans with gas in them, you know? Like, or say someone's trapped in something. I actually have a hydraulic press that can like push things apart. And, in my garage, like
Jaws of life.
I could pretty much, yeah. I could just pry the car open with hydraulics
Hmm.
or whatever it is. Or I have skills with lock picking, so somebody gets locked out of their house, like there you go. Freezing temperatures, they can't get in. Well, I could pick the door open, you know?
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
And yeah, that's man, that's a good one. I think we've talked about
yeah,
it enough for the moment. I'm sure there will be some ideas.
yeah.
Leave
If
your
if you
ideas down in the comments. Like, what do you think
yeah, if
about
you want
this?
to be in on the open source AI Good Samaritan app, Uh, like, give us your ideas. Like, tell us, like, what can you do to contribute to something like that? What ideas do you have? Like, can you code something like that?
Mhm.
Let's help people.
I agree.
Let's
And what a
help people help others.
yeah, what a legacy
Basically.
that would be, having created something like that,
Yeah,
like a
that would be
world-changing piece of software.
right. Right.
Man, that would be awesome.
Huh.
Man, that's good. Well,
Kind of
and
stoked
also,
about that.
if people, anybody knows about like the rules about Good Samaritans in other places in the world or in a particular state or whatever, let us know. Like, what's it like elsewhere?
Yeah.
U.S. it's not mandated. Germany it is. Like, what's it like in other countries?
Yep.
Yeah.
Like Japan, that would be interesting to know.
Oh yeah. Where's Randy when you need him?
Right.
Well, on that note, I think that's it. So enjoy the song, and yeah. If we start with the one about the Good Samaritans thing, then let's see.
Well, I think we should start with the argument.
Yeah. Well, I disagree.